Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu. Na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa alihi wa sahbihi wa taslim ajma'in wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, today we want to talk briefly about the big heartedness of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After all, he's the example that Allah has left for us on this earth. We're going to talk about how big his heart was and how much concern he had for human beings and how much love he had for human beings. It is said that in Dhul Hijjah in 632 CE, the same year that he transitioned back to Allah, to God, and returned to Allah, in Dhul Hijjah, it is said that on the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, in the valley of Mount Arafat, not on Arafat, but in the valley of Arafat, it is said that he gave a delineation of do's and don'ts. It's almost like when parents are leaving their children, teenage children, tell their children, do this and don't do that, do this and don't do that. He knew he was leaving. So he tells us, he gives a delineation of things. He says that all life is sacred. We talk about sacredness of life, the sacredness of property, the sacredness of all human beings. Then he talks about marriage. He talks about the marital rights that men have, the marital rights that women have. He talks about how the men should be kind to their spouses or to their wives. He talks about the rights of marriage and so forth, for men and women. He talks about that. He talks about he delineates the unity of mankind. He talks about how all human beings, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their color, how all human beings come from one ancestry, from Adam and his wife Hawa. He talks about that. He talks about that there's no superiority in ethnicity. No superiority of one race or another race, or one ethnicity or another ethnicity. Then he talks about how we should be concerned about maintaining our prayers and maintaining giving in charity and maintaining good deeds, maintaining fasting. He talks about all those things. But after he delineates those things, he gets to some very critical lines. He talks about, and it tells you why he was giving that delineation. He gets to the point in this talk that he gives, that's been billed as his last sermon. He gets to the point where he talks about, he says, remember that one day you will stand before your Lord, before Allah, and you have to answer for all your actions, all your deeds. Beware, he said. Beware. And do not go astray after I'm gone. So he was showing his love and his concern for us after he had left this earth. And he goes on, which lets us know that he was looking forward, he's looking at what was going to transpire in the future. He tells those 100,000 believers that are with him, he tells them, those that are here should tell those that are not here, and those should tell others, and those should tell others. Until the point that it gets to our generation and our time. He tells us that we should not go astray. I think that's very, very major for us in this day and time. Because we live in a time where, it used to be that if there was a shameful act or a shameful deed, it would disturb people. We was over in the neighborhood the other day, this 6-year-old girl right down the street, 6-year-old girl was shot in a car with her father at a store. And there's all kinds of shameful acts going on in that neighborhood around the store. So we went over there the other day to talk to the owners. We let them know that we're going to watch them, that we may have to go back there and deal with all the shameful acts that's going on in that neighborhood around that store. Because when you see shameful acts, you cannot be a spectator. We are saturated with shameful acts, shamelessness all around us. When we see unwed children, there used to be a time that a girl was expecting, and she was in school, high school, and they would take her to a special school so she can finish her education. But nowadays they don't do that. Like there's no big deal. They have daycare centers in the school for the children of children and country centers that you give out to the children. So it's not a big deal. Used to be a time if you heard DAM mentioned on television, people get disturbed. No one's disturbed by that, or any of the profanity they use nowadays, and the vulgarity and obscenity they use nowadays. There's so much going on that's shameful that we get to the point that we become desensitized. Like there's no big deal. What's the big deal? You know, a girl gets shot, there's no outrage, and there's no big deal. All the wrong doing, the shameful things going on. As Muslims, we cannot be spectators. Our prophet, or something, he tells us, he said, when you see a wrong, he said, you must change it with your hands. If you can't do that, you speak out against it. You can't do it, you hate it. You despise it in your heart. So we can't just be spectators of the shameful things that we see going on in society. All these flashpoints, these shameful things that are going on, like anything else, they have a historical context to them. A social historical context. And to really understand it, we have to delve into the historical context. When we look at Western society, the modern Western world, shameful acts all over the world nowadays. But when we look at our society, the modern Western world, historically, we go back to the 1500s and 1600s. We look at what happened among the Europeans, how they had become so upset and angry and distrustful of their religious institutions in Western Europe, that they began to rebel against their religious institutions, the churches in Western Europe. And because of the abuses alleged that was going on by the churches, you had new leadership among the Europeans. You had people like John Locke and Voltaire and David Hume. So really to understand the modern Western culture, you had to look at these people. These people considered the father of modern Western culture. One of the men, probably the most influential man in terms of modern Western culture is a man named John Locke. John Locke lived in the 1600s. He devised what he called, in his writings, he called a new religion. John Locke. He said in his new religion, he said that God will become secondary. The man's intellect, his mind, will become the central focus, not God. That all we need is just our mind, our opinions, our intellect to navigate our way through life. So he took God and he made God secondary. And he said we should rely on this our own mind. That was humanism. He called it humanism. He called it a new religion. John Locke. Study John Locke. no human being has had the influence on Western culture, all of us have been influenced by Western culture, than John Locke. His humanism, there's a lot of good things in humanism. Democracy, which is good. Individual freedom, good. But couched into that, like a Trojan horse, couched into that, you have how we see God. He talked about how we should see nature, how we should see God. We should see God as secondary, not needed to navigate. Our minds were enough to navigate in terms of guidance. That's John Locke. That we don't need God to guide. He didn't denounce God, but he said we don't need him. We just use our minds. الذين يستحقون يكتبون على خير ويصدون عن سبيل الله وفقوه إخراجا. Allah talks about people like that. I'm not going to be judgmental. But he talks about people like that. He said, oh, John Locke thought this would be beneficial to human beings. So Allah says, those who choose this life over the next life, and they lead men away from the path of Allah. And they present it as being the path of Allah as being crooked. They're the ones who are far, far astray. So many people have been misled and going astray because of certain things that we find that's taught in humanism. We don't know where it comes from. We never looked at it in a historical perspective. We just accept it. Yeah. But it's come down from people who deliberately, and the goal was to prevent the masses, to take masses from the path of God. Deliberately. This is the problem that we have as Muslims today. Allah said, "You whatever is in the heaven and the cosmos, the heaven and the earth, extols God, no matter what it is. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa hayyul qayyum." Allah said. Allah said, there's no God but He. He's the living. He's the qayyum. He's the qayyum. He's the living and He's the qayyum. Qayyum means He's the fount of all existence. That everything exists comes from Him. He's the fount of all existence. And we look at that. What does that imply? That means that Allah has knowledge of every particle that exists in the cosmos, in this world. Every electron, or proton, or whatever is smaller than the electron, all the chemical makeup. He has knowledge of things. But that means, Qiyam means that Allah's knowledge of these things that exist in the cosmos, His knowledge doesn't come from these things. But instead, these things and the knowledge of these things are derived from Allah's knowledge. Allah is Al-Alim. Al-Alim meaning He's the infinite in knowledge. He's all-knowing. And you look at this, I don't think you see this in any other language other than Quranic Arabic. Look at the grammar of this. Al-Alim, Al-Alim means the all-knowing. And the word in the Quranic Arabic, the word for the world in Quranic Arabic is Alameen. You say Allah is Rabbil Alameen. Alameen means world. that many times. When you see consistency, you've seen truth. And I think it's interesting that the meaning, that word, which means world, comes from Allah's name, Al-Alim. Al-Alim is the origin of Al-Alim, which means word. Well, just the grammar tells us that the word, everything that exists in the world, this is beyond, comes from Allah. So everything that exists, and a lot of everything that exists in the world comes from Allah's knowledge. Whereas with man, here's the problem with John Law. Whereas with man, our knowledge, the knowledge human beings have, come from these things that exist in the cosmos. We have studied these things, the particles, the chemical makeup that exist in the cosmos. So our knowledge comes from the things that exist. But these things that exist, the knowledge of these things come from Allah's knowledge. So the Ghazali, we know about later, use a very good analogy. He talked about chess. He says that the one who originated chess versus the one who plays chess. The one who plays chess, he can become very, very good at the game, very clever and very smart at playing chess, knowing how to use the different pieces, how to use the board. Very smart, very clever. Devise different strategies. But his knowledge is come only from the chess pieces on the board. Or Allah as a God. The chess pieces and how to use them comes from the one who originated the chess game itself. Squeeze it, brother. So he says an analogy of you. All that exists comes from Allah. So what that means? When we move into a robotic age, now we use robots. We think that our mind, human being mind, is so great because we devise robots. That means that it doesn't matter when you have a robot that cut your grass, wash your car, or whatever. Wash your clothes, wash your car, cut your grass, and walk your dog. You have a robot to walk your dog. It doesn't matter. All that knowledge comes from Allah. That's how we see it in Muslims. Then when you have it doesn't matter when you have a car that's a robot that can drive itself, or can swim, or can fly. All of it comes from Allah's knowledge. That's important. That's what's missing in humanism, in Jumah. That's important because we believe the biggest sin that a person can have is that of shirk, idolatry. And that's idolatry with knowledge. It's not idolatry when people don't know. The God is most merciful. So it's idolatry with knowledge is the biggest sin. Because if the reason why shirk is the biggest sin is because if your understanding is wrong, your actions will be wrong. So you have a wrong understanding of the Almighty, God Almighty, who's the reality, who's the absolute, who cannot be multiplied. The absolute cannot be multiplied. The absolute cannot be subtracted. The absolute cannot be divided. The absolute is all that is. He's all that is. So you have the wrong understanding, your action will be wrong. If the foundation is wrong, if the foundation is crooked, the building will be crooked. So the biggest sin is shirk. Shirk is none. If you get that wrong, how do you see it? Oh, I see God Almighty with all your actions. Please, I have this up over the بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه تسليما So, I'm Prophet Muhammad he's a big-hearted person. But he showed his concern and his love for us. On that occasion, was when Bill was the last sermon. But many times, particularly the time that something took place, an incident took place, 2 days before his death, he was with some of his companions, and he made the statement that confused a lot of men. He said, "Oh, I wish that I could meet my brothers." And the Sahabas got confused. They couldn't understand. He's saying that he wished that he could meet his brothers. They said, "Ya Rasulullah," they said, "we are your brothers." I said, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? We are your brothers. He said, "No." He said, "No. You are not my brothers." Say, you are my sahabas, my companions. That has great meaning. It shows how big his heart was. Why? Because he could have said, no, you are my followers, or you are my disciples, or you are my students. He could have elevated himself and put them down. But instead, he said, you are my companions. He put himself on their level. That's important because he didn't have to do that. He came down to their level and said, no, you are my companions, which means that what applies equity in egalitarianism. He was about equity. Allah tells in the Quran, lower you tell him, specifically about Islam. We follow his example. Lower your wing of love and mercy to those who follow you. Lower your wing. In other words, don't stick your chest out. Don't walk around other people, other Muslims, with their head stuck in the air as if you're more than them because they don't have anything. Because the brother may be just out of prison. That doesn't make you better than him. Or the sister may not have this or may not have that. Or that you may perceive that person is poor. Don't think you're better than someone because of their color, because of their economic status that you perceive. Anyone who comes in our fold of Islam, we're supposed to have equity, we're supposed to validate them. People are looking to be validated. They come in, they want to talk. You have to show you concern and listen to them. When you listen to them, you validate them. You don't go around and say, well, who is that person? You don't like that in no education. You don't want anything to do with them. They look poor. We validate people. We accept them. We listen to them. We talk to them. We go to them. We make sure that we connect with them because they're looking for connection when they come in our fold. We want to validate people. And that's equity. We don't stick our head up in the air. Who are you? Who's that brother? Walk right past the brother, one to someone you think got money or wealth, or someone that may have education. No. Equity. Let me finish this statement in conclusion. He said, you are not my brother. Then he tells me who his brother is. He said, my brothers are those who believe in me that have never seen me. They've never seen me. You see, he was yearning to meet us. He was showing love for us. He said, those who have never seen me but believe in me, those are my brothers. He said, oh, I wish I could meet my brother. Can you imagine if the Prophet Muhammad was with us today? I wish he was yearning, he showed love for us. He loved us. He loved everybody. He loved all people in the Ummah, and they loved him back. So the question is it reciprocal? Do we love him? And there are some Muslims believers. They're supposed to love the Prophet, they're supposed to only love God. In kana abaikum, abnaikum, ikhwanakum, azwajakum. If your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your spouses, your kin people, your ethnicity, your culture, your race, if any of the commerce, the business you fear declining, the houses you dwell in, if those things and if those people, if they need more, they're dear to you, they're more loved by you than Allah. You love them more than Allah, than God Almighty. You love them more than Allah, and it just doesn't stop with Allah. And his messenger. Then you are straight. That shows you that there's nobody supposed to be dear to you than Allah and his messenger. Not just Allah and his messenger. The Quran tells us that his messenger, the messenger of Rasulullah, that he is closer to us than we are to ourselves. Do you love yourself? Yes. That means, brother, you're supposed to love Allah and love Allah's messenger in. One of the key characteristics of the Sahaba with the Prophet Muhammad, and they were the most successful, is that they loved him, they loved him, they loved him, they loved him. We're supposed to love his messenger. If Allah puts an example in our midst, are we not supposed to love that example? We're supposed to love that example. And you show your love by following what he says. If you don't follow what he says, your words are just empty then. He says prayer in the mosque is better. Not pray once a week in the mosque. You want to be a better Muslim? Pray more than once a week in the mosque. He said, follow what he said. That means that you love him because you follow his words. If you don't follow what he says, that means that and God lets your word. Your word. You really don't let your word come empty then. Talk about charity. We talk about the brotherhood of mankind. So we're supposed to love him. He was big-hearted. He's our example. We're supposed to show love for the Prophet Muhammad. And you know who somebody loves by who you talk about. I once wrote in this job in conclusion with this lady, all she talked about was Jimmy. Jimmy this, Jimmy. I got tired of him talking about Jimmy. Talking about Jimmy was a man. And Jimmy wasn't her husband. She was married a married woman. Jimmy was somebody who worked with us too. But she was so obsessed with Jimmy. Jimmy this. Jimmy this. Jimmy. I saw it coming. No, that Jimmy. I would run the other way. And sure, she loved Jimmy. She got my husband, she talking about Jimmy. When you love someone, you talk about them a lot. I don't apologize. y'all probably talking about the Prophet Muhammad a lot because you love someone. That's who you talk about. That's who you talk about a lot. You don't talk about nobody else a lot. You talk about the one you love the most. We're supposed to love him. That's part of our faith. The Quran makes that obligatory. If you're a believer, you have to love the Prophet Muhammad. That's what success is. That's our example. That's the example. That's the example we bring to society. That's what's speaking in society. We don't have examples in society. Who better have us like what we better finish in ربنا إننا آمنا فاغفرنا ذنوبنا الله ربنا إليك تعبنا لنا نسير ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا ربنا وقت أحد الكل سبحانك وفقنا النار ربنا علمنا فاغفرنا ذنوبنا وارحمنا أنت خير الراحمين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله